FT, what's going on? Todd Father's back. Hey, he looks good. You look rested. Nice little color on you. How you doing?
Looking good, man. I'm feeling good. I had a good vacation. Thank you to the FT production for letting me go on that. I appreciate that. And now I'm ready, rearing back, ready to go and talk about where guys are going, man. Let's go. I'm getting fired up here.
I know you like to see what the money looks like these days and help to educate people on financial literacy. You know, the one that I still have to explain over and over again that's getting kind of annoying when people are like, do you think that Soto will beat Ohtani's $700 million? I'm like, it's not $700 million. I can't go over this enough. I'm losing my mind about it. They're like, but it is. Overall, he's going to get $700 million in his pocket over the course of the contract. I'm like, that's not how it works.
No. There could be deferrals. There could be all these other things involved. I mean, it could equal out to $700 million, of course, but it's there's a lot that goes into play, and this is why when somebody signs, it takes a long time, and then there's holidays where nobody signs, and then there's New Year's, and people are like, what's going on here? Well, people like to celebrate with their families too. I remember last year, though, there was one like right before either the New Year or Christmas or Thanksgiving. I forget which one it was, but literally like the night before a holiday last year, somebody signed, and we're like, oh, all right, it was cool. Somebody snuck in there.
Kratz, do you remember? You're our trivia guy.
I don't remember. No. I thought it was somebody with the Royals because I thought we had – did we have J.J. Piccolo on, and he was talking about he had to do some kind of deal over Christmas or Thanksgiving? Anyway.
See, it was something. It's a rarity, but when it does happen, you're like, man, go hang out with your family. Let's go. But that's business, baby. Hey, business never stops. And glad I'm not in that business because there's
plenty of days. There's plenty of days to figure this out.
Your phone's got to be
that
nonstop.
Are not on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to
agree
up in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessary during Thanksgiving. I agree. Mm-hmm. All right, let's charge the damn mound because we got a home for a team that was ballparkless.
Charging the mound.
The winner of the Rays Tampa 2025 home will be Tampa.
Oh,
it's Steinbrenner Field. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to start real quick here. I'm really happy that it is in Tampa for the families and really the team employees that do not have to be relocated. There are a ton of people that work in baseball who really don't make much money. And there could have been loss of jobs. There could have been relocation issues. I'm telling you, there are some people in baseball who in the same job in another world make way more, but baseball can get away with it because they know how many people want to work in sports. And I agree, it's awesome to work in sports. So I am very happy with this news from a location standpoint. As Mark Topkin breaks it, the Rays are planning to play the entire, I mean, he didn't say this in there, but it should be the entire 2025 season at Tampa Bay's Steinbrenner Field, and it's Tampa, in Tampa, not in St. Petersburg. So who wants to start here?
I'll go. Since, you know, Erik's been using his voice a lot over the last week and a half. Listen, you think about baseball and all the quirks and all the craziness that happens in this sport, and you look back, like one day we're going to look back and be like, do you remember the Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field for a year? How crazy was that? This is why baseball is like so unique. It's the biggest sport when it comes to failure. You can fail more than you succeed, and you still be a really, really good baseball player. You can even make it to the Hall of Fame. That's how hard this sport is. Is it going to be hard for some? Yeah, but guess what? It's a spring training field. They have all the amenities they need. Yeah, will the clubhouses not be the best? Of course not. But, you know, for certain teams like the Yankees, they're going to have to play 6 games there. They're going to have to be on the road. And they're going to have to go to the visiting clubhouse, which is fine. But they get to go home. You know, they probably have family and friends there, and they can go to their spring training home. And now Tampa, it's not that far of a drive. It's right down the street. Is it ideal? No. But at the same time, it's close enough to being a major league ballpark because it's got the same dimensions as Yankee Stadium. Even I take that back. The Rays, it's not the same as Tampa Bay Rays, but it's pretty unique. And from hearing what I'm hearing, the Yankees just redid their home clubhouse. So that's going to help out the Rays too as well. You know, I just think this is a unique time. Is it fair? No. You know, The weather had other things planned for that dome, and we already knew that it was going to be taken down, and the Oakland A's are going to be in a different spot. We're just going to look back on this, and, it's unfortunate for the players, but still, they're getting paid a lot of money to play this wonderful game of baseball. Enjoy this time. You're going to be closer with your teammates. You're going to have a lot of fun, and you're just going to it's probably a better field if you want the truth, right, Erik?
Yeah, it's better, except for the fact that every day at 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock it rains in Florida. So there's going to be rain delays. It is going to be hot. There is nothing worse than, and no matter where they would have gone in Florida, it was going to be hot. There's nothing worse than just walking outside in the middle of summer in Florida and everything fogs up. I remember playing in the Florida State League.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You actually, guys were stopped using unfinished bats because they would collect so much. It would collect so much dew on the bat as soon as you went from the air conditioning out to the heat. It would just not fog up, but your glasses would fog up. But all that to say, I'm glad they have a place to play. I know the whole thing about 16,000 average fans last year. Come on, let's pump the brakes. There wasn't 16,000 fans at very many Rays games. All right, so it's going to be cool because they're going to pack it out. I think they have a cool area out in right field. It's actually going to be the Tampa Bay Rays for the first time in history of the Tampa Bay Rays or Devil Rays. I think the only drawback is the fact that now the big league side for the Yankees, I know they redid their clubhouse for spring training, but the Rays, they have the largest weight room ever constructed for a big league team in their big league stadium. The Yankees big league clubhouse for spring training is so big, and the cages are right off of that. It is awesome. The thing I'm wondering is the visiting team going to have to walk all the way across to the home side to hit in their cages because there's no cages on that side? Just little things you think about.
You remember at Wrigley Field? Remember when we didn't have the weight room? You'd have to go on the other side after the game to work out at Wrigley Field. You're walking through the clubhouse. You just got your hiney whooped, whatever it was. Hey guys, hey, how you doing? Then you go in their little weight room.
Get some lat pull downs. Get some
get some 20 minutes of these, 20 minutes of those. And I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. But you're right. It is. I remember playing in the Florida State League too, and you'd hit in shorts. You would roll up the sleeves to hit during batting practice, so you can get a little glaze on those arms. And oh my God, how many showers do you think you took when you got to the field at 1 p.m. and by the time the game ended? I think I took 4 showers in between all that.
Yeah, 100%. So much baby powder used.
Listen, if you want to wait in, what is it, Johnson & Johnson, whatever it is, buy that stock first day of spring training at 100. At 100, I'm not giving any advice, but
no, you're not allowed. So say you're kidding. Say you're kidding.
I was
someone
kidding.
Doesn't come after. Kidding. We're not a financial institution.
No, it was a joke, but there's going to be a lot of different essential stuff used.
And I think we're a little bougie. Let's be honest. We've had years now. I think the Marlins Park opened in 2010 or 2011. If I'm incorrect, tell me. But so they were playing in Florida for a long time. Let's pump the brakes on how bougie we are. They're going to figure it out. It's going to be a lot of tarp pulls. And I'm hoping that some of the employees from the Rays Stadium get to come over and work at Steinbrenner Field. I always think it's Legends Field because that's what it used to be called before Hal passed away. But I mean, not Hal. George passed away. But I hope some of those people get to work there because if not, the people that work at Steinbrenner Field, they're going to basically be full time because I think they're still having the low A now. It's not high A anymore. Low A games there.
Tampa, the Tarpons.
The Tarpons.
Yeah. Well, they're going to probably have to do some schedule adjusting. I'm sure there's some overlap there. But you're right. I hope that they bring over, I think they will, some of the part-time stadium employees to help. So one thing I definitely learned just now, Todd Father from Kratz, is the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be jacked. They're just going to love hanging out in the weight room.
Yeah, why not?
Yandy.
Why not?
Yandy's so juiced about it.
I'm concerned for Yandy. He's not going to be able to fit through doors soon. He's going to be like, can you guys extend this? But anyway, it's cool. It's interesting news. Obviously, for Major League Baseball purposes, we now have 2 teams playing in minor league parks for all of 2025. This is the one that has the valid excuse. The other one's an absolute clown show joke. But natural disasters happen. This was a good job to swiftly figure it out. It's amazing. They figured this out faster than the A's, saga for decades to figure out what the heck they're doing.
Real quick, now does Steinbrenner do they get a kickback on all this stuff? Or
I'm sure. Yeah. They're not doing this for free. I mean,
okay.
15 million extra. 15 million extra in revenue.
Is that a guesstimation, or is that just definite?
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yep, confirmed. According to the Associated Press.
So that means they can get Juan Soto now?
That is exactly what Yankee fans are all commenting on, right? We'll put this part out on socials and say, hey, Yankee fans, the Yanks are about to make an extra $15 million just for sharing their home. And Yankee fans are just like, cool, now we can beat the Mets for Soto.
That was a joke too.
Just saying. That
Mine wasn't a joke. I'm serious. That's an extra $15 million. Like maybe, I mean, are they going to be $15 million short of the Mets offer? I think whatever. That's a whole other story. But it does help, right? When fans get to see real money that's out there that they're making extra, of course they're going to think, where else can we spend that on the team and on player payroll? Do you guys? I'm sure you remember when MLB sold part of BAM, MLB Advanced Media, and all the teams got those checks. It was very publicized, and every fan base thought that their team was about to spend an extra, whatever the check payout was for that year, $50 million. And like, nah, the owners are looking at that as a tech investment. That's going in the pocket and to the yacht fund.
They're not spending it like if Todd gets 15 extra bucks, he's spending that John hard. Owners,
he goes, what do you say? Where are we going tonight?
Yep.
We're going to Sizzler, baby.
We're going to Sizzler.
We going Sizzler. Hey, I get another Christmas decoration for outside the house here for sure.
Winter Wonderland.
One more layer here. I want to get thoughts from a competitive standpoint. Anything else we should know about either how this field plays or just how it could affect the result of games next year? We've talked a little bit about Sacramento and how that'll play out, but I mean, ballpark factors are real. And how do you think this helps to either shape the AL East, towards Tampa Bay's favor or not? Like, could this give them an edge? Not, doesn't really matter.
Not an edge, but I know when I played in the Florida State League, they were in the middle of revamping it. So they redid it. I think, I'm not sure what year they ended up redoing it, putting all the structures in right field. And then they put like the catwalk that goes the whole way. I think it goes the whole way around, but it's in left and right field. So that kind of changed a little bit. Spring training, after they did that, balls were flying out of the ballpark. I don't think they moved the fence in, but they could have. But when I played in the Florida State League in 2004, during the summer at night, the ball never traveled there. The name I always think of is Raul Tablado. Nobody knows who Raul Tablado is, but that dude, he was the only person that would smack homers to center field. And it was tough. The ball did not travel. But since they made those adjustments, now it's like I can hit a homer out of there.
See, so it's going to be a factor. We'll see what happens. I can tell you this: there's some Rays players that definitely, or just some people that have played, in Tampa that do not like the Trop, St. Petersburg, for a variety of reasons. So there might be some hitters that are pretty excited about this news. Also, just a couple notes: they chose Steinbrenner Field over the other option seemed to be Clearwater, where the Phillies play. So they chose Tampa over that. And then
there have been a lot of home runs there.
Yeah, that one for sure. Cool. And then also the Rays, so like Kratz had averaged about 16,000 fans. Even if the number was closer to, say, 9 or 10,000, if this place only holds 11,000 and it's in Tampa, not in St. Pete, when everyone always complains about the bridge, then they should sell most of these games out and be like, look, this is where it should be. So this could actually be a little prove it year for Tampa, and maybe that ballpark situation still ends up going over to the Tampa side instead of St. Pete. I don't know.
Yeah, wonder how many can fill in that stadium. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So we get some news here, actually, pretty quickly on where the Rays are going to be playing in 2025. We're going to bring over the Rays and the A's.
Yeah.
Rays A's playoff series, ALCS next year.
God.
Just the Rays.
Just the Rays. Hey, they deserve it. They've gone through a lot of crap with the weather in the past several months. So we're going to talk to Kevin McAlpin, who covered the Braves for a long time, about where the Atlanta Braves are at, because usually they do most of their damage around November. So we'll see what they're up to. All right, so let's give a big shout out to Storyworth for being a big sponsor today on Foul Territory. Storyworth.com/FOUL to save $10 on your first purchase. Kratz, should we give Todd Father the little how-to? Because I think he would like this. He's a family guy. He's pretty sentimental. He's got the young kiddos.
He likes keepsakes.
He does.
This is the best kind of keepsake. It's stories from people that you can pass this stuff down from generation to generation. I know it's not signed cleats like Todd likes, but to me, this is the stuff that families, even like your kids, may not appreciate it right now, but they're going to later on when they have a story from your grandparents or your great grandparents, and it just continues to get passed down, and you always have the family history. The Frazier family history.
Exactly. Money, sentimental holiday gift. So check it out. I mean, yes, in terms of the cleat story, you can write that as a story. You can show off the photo. It can be a page in what basically becomes your virtual scrapbook that they turn into a physical scrapbook, and they do a lot of the work for you in terms of making sure you're organized, asking the right questions, the whole deal. It's almost like having a personal assistant who's emailing you and asking you for materials, and then they put it all together. So check it out, FT fam. We are giving those that we love the most a thoughtful little personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. Let's show it. $10 off your first purchase at storyworth.com/foul. Save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/FOUL to save $10 on your first purchase. We'll be right back with Kevin McAlpin. Kevin McAlpin did pre-post reporting for a long time for the Atlanta Braves. He knows everything about the ball club. I'm actually surprised that we haven't had him on yet. Just an oversight, really, but someone I've known for a long time and have a lot of respect for in the industry. First off, Kevin, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Scott, doing well. Fellas, thanks so much for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We'll get into the career side for you of what you're doing now, and then what you obviously experienced with your role with the Braves for a long time, obviously on the radio. But first off, I know there are some fans that just want to get the overall take of where you think the Braves are at, how do they stack up for the 2025 season, and really what do you see them doing this offseason?
Well, they've got some question marks, no doubt about it, Scott. And first and foremost, it's in the rotation, right? Is Charlie Morton going to come back for another year at 41? Is Max Fried going to sign elsewhere? I think a lot of Braves fans have kind of come to grips with the fact that they probably won't have the ace of staff in 2025. So how do the Braves fill those spots? Do they go internal? Do they go younger, like we saw with Spencer Schwellenbach this past year? Or do they go outside the organization and try to find,
Oh, I was like, was that me? No.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if it was me or not.
No, we lost Kev.
Braves fans didn't like what he was saying.
He was getting rolling. Well, we were about to figure out some starting rotation options for ATL.
Yes,
I don't ever understand, and I'm going to ask Kevin this: why, when a guy like Max Fried does so well, is a team like the Braves, who's not afraid to sign guys, not afraid to extend, like, why wouldn't they bring him back? Like, let the guy see the free agent market. He carried your staff the year before. Like, it's okay to bring somebody back.
Of course it's okay to bring someone back, but don't you think they would have done it already if they've been chatting about contracts for a while?
But it's okay. But it's okay if he says no to your extension offers. He's earned that right. Why does it feel like he wouldn't come back? Just because he didn't sign? Because all of them are team-friendly deals. There's no way a team's signing them if they're like, well, we're overpaying on an extension. So I get it. Max didn't sign when everyone else was signing. Is it just assumed that we're just going to cut the cord and go to another team?
Ask him that.
I'll let him finish what he was saying.
Sorry about that, guys. The
no, you're
Wi-Fi
good.
gremlins are not cooperating with us today. But to get back to my point, the big question mark, guys, for the Braves this offseason is starting pitching. Charlie Morton, is he back? Max Fried, what happens? Does he sign elsewhere? Again, as I was saying before I got cut off, I think a lot of folks in Braves country have kind of come to the realization that 54 might not be back in the rotation next year, and that's a big loss. So, you've got Strider coming off injury. You've got Chris Sale, a Triple Crown winner this year. So that's huge to have him for a couple of more seasons. But really, for me, the number one question mark around this team this offseason is where do they go in the starting rotation?
So my question, while you were gone, while you were in frozen Wi-Fi land, why, and it's not just the Braves, like why Max Fried is clearly one of the top two pitchers available in the free agent market, in my opinion. The Braves need a starting pitching upgrade because they are still a World Series contending team. Why would they not bring him back? Why is this? Because everybody else signed extensions and he didn't sign an extension? Why is he going to cost too much for the Atlanta Battery to pay for Max Fried to come and pitch for your team who you dominated for the last few years?
That's a great question. And look, there's no doubt the Braves can afford him. I think their big concern is, okay, he's north of 30. What's he going to look like? Is he going to slow down? He's had some injury issues the last couple of years. But again, for me, he's been your ace. He's got the second most wins in baseball behind Garrett Cole since the start of 2019. He's got the most wins by any lefty in the game. So, he is as close to as, he's not a homegrown guy. We know he started in San Diego, but he's as close to a homegrown talent as you're ever going to have in the organization. I love Max. He's a bulldog when he's on the mound. So again, I don't know what the reason would be to justify not bringing him back. It's not the fact that they can't afford him. I think the fact that, again, is he north of 30? Does he start slowing down? Are you scared about what that contract looks like later on? Those are certainly valid questions. But again, your window to win a World Series is still very much wide open. And I think if you have a chance to go for it, you go for it. So if I'm the Braves, I'm bringing him back. What's scary is everybody in the world needs starting pitching. So there could be quite a bidding war for his services moving forward.
Okay, but if every team looks at the Braves and they're like, well, the Braves aren't bringing him back, nobody knows more about this guy than the Braves training staff. And like, is that real, or is it really just boiled down to the Braves Because if the Braves go out, because they offered Aaron Nola. We know they offered Aaron Nola. So do they think Aaron Nola is going to last longer than Max Fried because they offered him a nice contract, he didn't accept it?
Yeah, spot on. And again, I don't know what the argument would be to justify not bringing him back. Again, you've got young arms in the organization, but we've seen so many of them come up and get a chance, and they get 3 or 4 starts and they go back down. So, yeah, if I'm the Braves, if I'm making that call, to me, it feels like a pretty easy one. I need Max Fried. I need him back. I need that arm in my rotation, 30 or not. I mean, heck, we've seen guys pitch into their 40s. So again, I don't necessarily subscribe to the he's 30, his body's going to break down on him. Again, I just it's all the intangibles too. I just think that, what he brings off the field in the clubhouse, he's such a good guy. He's such a great leader. If I'm making that call, it feels like a pretty easy one. Will they do it? I know a lot of folks here in Braves country hope they will.
So my question to you is as well, you talk about pitching staff. Well, I'm going to go to the catchers now. Travis d'Arnaud just signed a deal with the Angels. Is there someone coming up from the bottom there that could be another backup catcher, maybe help out with the Braves? Or are they going to look for somewhere outside the organization?
Yeah, Todd, they've got a young player coming up through the minors, Drake Baldwin, and he's been a pretty quick mover. The problem is, I don't think you bring up a Drake Baldwin to sit on the bench and back up Sean Murphy. If you're going to bring up a young catcher, you want him to play. I don't think you want him to sit and catch 1 or 2 games a week. So I think that's probably another area they look to address. And look, the option for d'Arnaud was $8 million. That's the deal they've brought him in on the last couple of years. And I'm quite frankly surprised they didn't exercise that. Again, you want to talk about a leader off the field. d'Arnaud checks a lot of boxes, and he was so clutch. He came up with so many big knocks for the Braves this past year, and really the last 2 or 3 seasons, let's be honest. So I think they probably look outside the organization to bring in somebody else to pair with Sean Murphy, because again, I don't think you bring up that young guy to not get playing time. I think if you want him to play, you want him to play at AAA and play every day. So when he does come up to potentially be the everyday guy, he's going to get those reps. So again, you look the last few years, they traded away Contreras, they traded away Langoliers. Hindsight, do they wish they would have done that or held on to one of them? Maybe, probably. But again, I think that you probably have to look outside the organization and bring in another guy that you can partner and have that 1-2 punch with Murphy and whoever else. It might be a solidified, bona fide major league catcher at this point.
Kratzy's boy.
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez.
No. That's not who I was going to. I was going to, it's actually later, one of our segments later. Kyle Higashioka had 18 homers last year. The Braves love framing and receiving. He was top 3 in the game. They lose d'Arnaud. Unfortunately, though, I think it might cost the Braves a little bit more than $8 million a year because it might be a 2-year deal. Were they looking at that route, or are they looking more at like the defensive first type of catchers? Because then, if something happens to Murphy, which something's happened the last 2 years to Murphy, like you're missing out on a guy, and you need a bona fide starting catcher who's willing to back up Murphy.
Yeah, and Higashioka, he killed them in the very brief wild card series. I mean, they saw that firsthand, how tough he can be and how good he is as far as, a clutch, coming up in big moments, big situations. So I do think that, that could be a possibility. You're right. It'll cost him more than d'Arnaud would have. And I do think that would be a great fit. They do put a big emphasis on defensive catchers and framing and trying to steal those extra strikes. But what's interesting is Sal Fasano, who was really a big part of that, is now gone. He was part of the coaching staff. He was not retained for 2025. So, maybe there's potentially a shift in the organizational mindset of how they look at catchers and what they look for out of their backstops. I don't know what that would look like. But again, since Fasano is now gone, I just wonder if that changes their philosophy a little bit moving forward. But again, Higashioka was a thorn in their side out in San Diego a couple of months ago. Brave fans are probably still trying to get over that. But they unfortunately were on the wrong end of him coming up huge for San Diego this year.
We can't have you on without asking about Acuna. Sounds like he's not going to start the season opening day. Is that a precautionary? Is that a setback type of decision? Or is that a we need to get things right because we want to play in the playoffs type of decision?
To me, I think it's more precautionary than anything. And I wouldn't say it's a setback. I think, you're looking at a guy who's dealing with, 2 ACL surgeries and, what he's been through the last couple of years. It's going to be a longer process for him to get back. And when he does, what's his speed look like? Is he still able to go out there and be as aggressive on the bases as he has been earlier in his career or not? How does that change, his game? And, when he had the ACL injury the first time, they slow played at him coming back, and he didn't play every day. He DH'd a little bit. He would play a couple of games in a row in the field and then get a day off. So, given the fact it's his second surgery in the last 4 years, 3 years, really, I guess, if you break it down, I wouldn't call it a setback, but I just think it's a situation where this is not one but 2 legs he's having to come back off surgeries from. So, again, do they have to find another outfielder this offseason? Jorge Soler is gone. So what do they do? I think they do probably find somebody else that can just give him some innings and hold the fort down. Laureano did a nice job down the stretch last year. He was a nice piece to have. That could certainly be a possibility. If they're looking for an upgrade, though, I think they could still find that, whether it's via trade or free agency this offseason. But again, the fact that he's not going to be ready opening day, I was not surprised when I heard that news.
Who are we going to see at 100% first? Strider or Acuna?
Ooh, good question. I'll go Strider. Given the fact, that it wasn't a full Tommy John surgery, I think the rehab and recovery process could be a little bit quicker for him. So I'm going to say Strider. And again, that's good news for a team that probably needs a couple of starters this offseason. Bad news for a guy who was a 40-70 player a couple of years ago. So I'll go Strider, hopefully not by much, though.
So, Kevin, I want to get back to the career, right? You and I did TV back in the day on MLB, and obviously you worked for the Braves radio for a long time. So whatever you're good with sharing, kind of let everyone know about the run that you just had, what you're doing now, and what went into all of that.
Yes, Scott, I really enjoyed our time together. There's no doubt about it. And believe me, I loved every minute of working with Braves Radio. I started in 2012, had a chance to work my way in from daily reporter to hosting the pre and post game show for the last 5 years. This was totally my decision to walk away. I'm 42 years old. 21 years of my life has been scheduled around a baseball schedule every summer. I've got a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old, which if you follow me on social media, they're my everything, man. They're my world. And for 6.5, 7 months out of the year, I don't see them very much. I don't get a chance to spend much time with them. I don't get a chance to coach my son's baseball team. I don't get to go to my daughter's gymnastics classes and things like that. So missed out on a lot, and not looking for sympathy because working in baseball is still pretty darn cool as well. But I had a couple of years left on my deal, and I decided, you know what? My family's put me first for a long, long time. Time to do that for them. So I'm working now at a company here in Marietta, right down the street from my house. So I'm still here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta metro area. Instead of doing radio shows talking about ERAs and batting average and whip and things like that, I'm hosting financial radio shows, helping folks plan towards their retirement, which I know is a big deal. And I've learned a lot about the retirement world. I've learned that I got a long way to go if I ever want to be able to do it someday. But you know what? It's normal hours. It's a chance to take summer vacations with my kids. It's a chance to go to games with my kids. It's just a chance to be around my family a lot more. And again, guys, you know it. You guys have all been around baseball long enough. The wives are the MVPs of the whole thing. My wife, Melissa, has held down the fort for a long time. And, now to be home for dinner every night and help out with homework and, be able to be part of their lives a little bit more. It was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So I'm excited about it. Again, I'm learning a lot more about 401ks and Roth conversions. And I'm learning a lot of abbreviations that I never knew existed. But the people here are awesome. Impact Partnership is great. And they're still really encouraging me to stay in baseball, to do podcasts or do things like this with you guys. So I'm not done with baseball. I'm just done with it for a full-time basis, at least for a little while. And as I joked, once the kids are out of the house, once they're off to college or whatever the lies ahead for them after high school, I'm sure I'll be knocking on the door to get back and do baseball full-time. But again, I've watched them grow up from afar. I watched my son's first swings in T-ball on FaceTime. I watched him take his first steps on FaceTime. So I've missed a lot, and Max and Mia, they're everything to me. So I'm just excited to be with them more and to put them first. And again, you don't get these years back. So I got a fourth grader somehow. I don't know how in the world that happened. So again, anybody out there who's a parent, you know how fast it grows. They grow up, and it feels like they grow up even faster when you're not around to see them very much. So I'm excited for this new role and excited to see where it takes us moving forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I couldn't agree more. That's why I quit playing. So I commend you in that. Not that you need my commendation, but I do wonder, now that you're not in baseball, why don't you move back to God's country? I mean, we might have played it. Did you play high school ball? Did you play high school baseball?
I did not. I played until I was in sixth grade. And I saw a fastball about to hit me in the left ear flap. I hit the ground. And the umpire said strike one. And I've told this story on the air. I'm covered in dirt and dust. And I looked around. I said, "Are you crazy?" He goes, "It's called a curveball, son. Get up." Kid threw me two more. I got in the car, told Mom, "That's it. We're done. I'm going to have to, if I want to get to the big leagues, it's going to have to be in another capacity or another role."
Oh,
so,
my God.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys all have similar situations as younger players. But, yeah, we're happy here in Atlanta. You know, Atlanta's really, it's become home. We've been here since 2012. We love it. Still have a lot of family and friends up there in the Philly area. Delaware County, Delco is always going to be home. There's nothing like Delco. Did you live in that area? I know you spent a lot of time in Philadelphia.
Yeah. No, I grew up in this area. That's why I was wondering if because you're 42, I'm 44. I didn't know if I hit a dinger off you in high school or not, because you went to Haverford, right?
Haverford High, baby, home of the Fords. But you know what? You would have taken me deep if I would have been able to throw a strike, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So now I'm getting my fill with 10U baseball, which is man, I don't know what it's like to step into the box in the big leagues, but coaching third base in a 10U tournament I did this past weekend, man, my heart was racing. So it was fun. I actually played Tyler Flowers' team this past weekend, and we'll leave out the final score. It didn't go well for my boys, but
it's okay.
We
got
10U.
Make sure you tell Todd.
I'll just say that.
It's not about winning. It's about making sure they're having fun and getting better. That's
exactly, especially at
Todd,
that age.
Tell the parents that I had to deal with on the other side that past weekend.
Of course.
Oh, Todd knows. Todd knows too.
Ooh.
Well, Kevin, this was awesome, man. I'm really glad we did this, especially this last few minutes. It's inspirational. I kid you not. I know plenty of people that are grinding and even really like overdoing it, then afterwards have regrets with the fam, the whole thing. So it's good for people to hear stories like this, right? You can do both. You can live your dream, play all that out, and then you can also carve out family time within your lifespan. So really respect all of that a ton. And good luck with it. And obviously we'll keep in touch on everything too, and let us know if we can be helpful.
All right, guys. And next time we do this, I won't be holding my iPhone and shaking uncontrollably. I'll try to do a better job for you next time.
Done. Deal. Yes. We'll beat the Gremlins next time. Thank you, Kevin. Good to see you, dude.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
You too. Appreciate you. Kevin McAlpin. Great dude. Great Braves talk. Be right back. That was awesome. I figured you guys would love the end of that too. You know, talking about the work-life balance, because you guys went through this as players, but the media goes through this as well. And I put the disclaimer out there again and again. Nobody is asking for anyone to feel bad, but at the same time, you don't have to work in baseball media your entire life just because you got to the position, and you should appreciate where you're at, whatever. He's allowed to say, hey, I got to, step aside for a little bit and spend some more time as a dad because he's on the road. I mean, if you're calling games, beat writer, whatever, you have every right to give that position to someone else too. It's not like, oh, how disrespectful. To me, it's like, what a G, what a dude to be able to say, hey, I got to spend some more time at home and I can make up the income with a different gig. I can still have some fun with the Braves, and then he can always get back into it at some point when he wants to. You guys know the deal.
Those days go really fast, and they're going fast now. Kratz's kids are growing up right before his eyes. It's crazy. His kids are driving. They're going to be in houses, married soon. Mine are on the way to go to intermediate school. It goes by like that. So you want to be around as much as possible. I tip my cap to him for sure.
Me
it's
too.
Even tougher. I think it's tougher for what I would call like the subsidiary roles, like the roles below a player, from clubhouse guys to trainers to tech guys to analysts, all that stuff. Like, to me, if you're getting into baseball, that is awesome. I think you should talk to somebody who's been in it and understands, like writers. They're flying commercial flights. They're not flying on the team plane. Broadcast guys, they're doing 162 games plus spring training. You are gone. You're not, and you don't have the cash like maybe a player would to, maybe fly home quick on an off day.
Bingo.
And it's all that stuff. It's tough.
Bingo. You just nailed it, Kratz. That's the part. So most people in baseball, like I mentioned earlier on this show, do not make a lot of money, right? They're doing jobs where if they did that job in another place, they would make way more. It's just how the industry runs. It's not right, but it's how it runs. And so if you're a player and you're getting paid well, you can pay yourself out of some problems, right? You can do that flight home for a day. Some guys who are super rich can do the private flight home for a day. You can pay for more childcare, the whole deal, right? There's plenty of people in baseball making like 30 grand a year. Can't do any of that. It's like the minor leaguers too. So just a lot of respect for the whole situation. Wanted to throw it out there because obviously you guys had to, kick it on the road for a while, and now you get to get the good dad fam time. So anyway, pulling at your heartstrings. But we'll be right back to talk about a player who got hurt.
Shocker.
All right, hot corner. Yoan Moncada is actually playing for Team Cuba in the Premier 12 tournament that's going on right now. That's the one that Rich Hill's playing in. And Moncada left the game with an injury. Looks like x-rays were negative, but he is probably not going to play in the rest of the tournament. I mean, he's young, so he has that on his side, and he has had some decent years in baseball, but he's barely played for a while. I mean, I would have a hard time if I'm a team seeing, or if I'm looking on the media side, seeing a team hand him a major league contract at this point. I mean, he might get one, but I would have a hard time seeing at this point. I mean, I think he's got to probably show up to camp and show that he can get on the field and play sufficient
I bet he gets one.
baseball.
I bet he gets one. I bet he gets.
You bet he gets a major league contract?
Jerks Profar, 1 year, $1 million kind of deal. I think some guys just have a moniker that, well, we can figure it out. We can figure out why, when he gets hit by a pitch, he's out for 10 days every time. When other guys get hit by pitches and they're not. Like, we have a medical staff. We have a training staff that'll be on top of him. We understand that, he comes with the fact that we're not going to get 140 games out of him. But 1 year, $1 million, look how it worked out for Profar. And maybe that would motivate him. I mean, I think he got a buyout this year, so he's still making a little bit of cash, but maybe, a small big league deal will motivate him to play because supremely talented. There is a lot of talent in there. It is more, to me, if he stays on the field or if he wants to stay on the field.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm reading here what it says. The Blue Jays, Yankees, Mariners are interested.
Well, according to a report, I mean,
according to a report, yeah, of course. But I'm just, seeing what I'm reading, what I'm seeing. But yeah, I don't. This is a tough one, man, because he is so talented. He's had a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of problems. When he's well, he's a really good ball player. So it's like there might still be teams out there, man. Oh, we could fix him. Don't worry, we're gonna have, lightning in a bottle here. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm like in between here because he's playing right now. I mean, he does care about baseball. I think he loves playing for his country. I think that fuels him a little bit. Unfortunate about the injury. You could have lightning in a bottle. I think of Ronaldo Lopez when the Braves picked him up. I'm like, all right, this guy, he was a starter. He's a reliever. What are you going to get out of him? I know he got injured too as well, but a lot of years still available for him. But this guy he's a pretty incredible ball player when he's on the field, and it's put up or shut up time now. I just have a weird feeling that he's got to be on a team where there's a guy in there that is like him, that speaks his language, that knows his culture and everything, and like, hey, Baba, let's go, baby. Let's get after it here a little bit. This is your time, brother. This is your last chance, and hopefully that gets his rear end going.
Yeah, he played 12 games this year. And I mean, Ronaldo Lopez had an awesome season. Is the symmetry you're trying to create maybe that they're both former White Sox players, and maybe a change of scenery adds up for him. Because also, by the way, I wanted to ask you this, Todd Father. Did you run cross paths with him? Were you 2017? Did you get any time?
Yeah. Dude, that's terrible.
So he was 2017 Sox, but that was 54 games. I don't know.
He got traded for sale. So he went. So you guys wouldn't have. I think
2017 for the Sox, and Todd Father, 2017 Sox. You did 81 games, and then that's when you got traded to the Yanks, right?
I think he came over. Didn't Sale go to Boston at the trade deadline?
Well, I don't remember. That's terrible that I don't remember that. Either way, kid can be a stud. That's it. And I think somebody might take a chance, whether it's major or minor league deal, and see what happens.
No, he got traded in December, Kratz.
Yeah.
December of 16. He made like a cup of coffee little thing, and then moved to the White Sox for 17.
For the whole season. So he was in the bushes. Moncada was in the bushes at the beginning of 17 because Todd
I was there in 16.
No, but you got traded to the Yankees. You got traded to us in 17, didn't you?
Yeah, I was with the White Sox for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
17.
And our trusty FT fam can help us out here, but I think when you were dealt, he probably played second half of the year. Is my guess with the Sox.
No, we had a Gold Glover there. Oh my God! The year after I left, who was the Gold Glove at second baseman there? Oh my God!
Leary Garcia?
No, not Leary. Not Leary. I mean, get that right. God
second base.
Yes, that's so bad. Oh God! In 2017 or 18, I forget what it was. Anyway, I don't remember playing with him. That's terrible to say.
I'll tell you right now when he played, because he played in the bushes in 17.
And then the White Sox he got the Gold Glove, and they got rid of him. It was weird. I don't know. Oh, he's a great dude too. Switch hitter. This is gonna blow my mind here. Can somebody look that up?
Well, either way, Moncada was in the bushes in 17 because I remember playing against him in Charlotte.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think I played with him.
Moncada came up in 17 on July 19th. Do you remember what day you got traded, Todd Father?
I got traded July 17th. No, I don't remember. If you want,
I hope you're on the same.
July 19th.
What?
July 19th.
What did I say? Traded.
So you guys had basically a one-day crossover. So
and
it's fair.
I didn't play those the 2 days. So I didn't play the 18th or the 19th.
You don't have to defend it, dude. You guys spent maybe 24 hours together. Actually, kind of proves the point. If we learned anything, this is a perfect off-season segment. Should Todd know Yoan Moncada? And the answer is no. He is allowed to not know him.
He's my best friend.
Bad teammate.
Well, text him. See if he wants to come on the show. I'd actually love to talk to a guy like that. Like, hey, because the public perception is this guy barely played this year. He's gone through some of those injuries where you look and you're like, damn, you missed the whole season for that? It's a little bit of like the Rendon-looking injuries where you're like, is he good? Is this an injury that is worse than it sounds, or does he not want to be on the field? Like, I think it would be good for guys like that to speak up.
Yolmer Sanchez.
Oh, you know what? I was going to say it. You're a jerk.
You're a terrible teammate. How about that?
Somebody texted you, didn't they?
No, I looked it up. I used the Google machine.
Yeah, you don't know what Google machine is.
You're brutal.
It took me a while, but I remembered it. Now I'm going to go cry.
Okay. Well, Todd's going to cry, and then Kratz is going to go to his room to do more activities. This segment sponsored by Step Brothers 2, starring Erik Kratz and Todd Frazier. Make sure you check it out on DVD and Blu-ray coming out at Christmas time, okay? Didn't make theaters, didn't make streamers, but DVD and Blu-ray. And we'll have Kolten Wong joining us soon.
Touch my drum set.
All right, let's get to some questions here. Ref asked, where will the Tampa Tarpons play now? I don't think we've seen anything yet, but Ref, we love you. We will give you an answer. But I also think they'll probably still play in Tampa, and they'll have to reshuffle the schedule a little bit.
Scotty, you're looking nice and bright today. I freaking love it, man.
I'm too bright, Gab. Can you
no,
give me a little more tan?
I
This is what happens. No, I don't like it.
No,
I look like Casper every day on the show, and I live in Florida, and it's embarrassing.
Hey, the
Gab,
only reason why I look like this, Scott, is because I was on vacation, so I'd be right there with you.
No, it's not that. I mean, you obviously do look nice from the vacation, but you also have a nice lighting tint, because if we can show a screenshot sometime in life of me at Todd Fathers, I don't look like this.
The back of your hand is nice and white too. I love it. I know it irks you, and it makes me so happy.
I look a little bit ill.
That's a good way
I
of
had
putting
too much gluten for lunch, and I actually dropped my lunch all over the floor. It's been a great day.
I don't think back to referee.
Color when I back up.
Back to what referee said. They can't change the minor league schedule. I get it. Big league schedules are more important than the minor league schedule, but they can't just have them playing at different times, because the minor league schedule is all Tuesday to Sunday, off on Mondays. And then you go on the road, Tuesday to Sunday, off on Mondays. I don't know how they'll be able to change that. They'll have to change the big league schedule around.
No, double headers. I mean, there'll be times where, let's say they had a night game. Tampa's going to play during the day, I'm saying, and then the Rays will play at night. No? Can you do that? Or they need the field?
Park?
Yeah, what happens if it rains?
It's going to rain anyway. Everyone's screwed on that. But the difference is that minor league games, I'm sorry, they don't really, really matter to the extent that if there ends up being double delays and they're all jammed up, the MLB team's going to get precedent.
Hey, Judge. Sorry, you can't come to the park because they got a game till 4:00. You're gonna have to wait to get your work in, because most dudes show up at most dudes show up at 2:30. I know I would show up at 12:30 at the park.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the good players showed up later because they didn't have as much stuff to make themselves better. Like, I showed up early, but you can't have a game going on. Not like the high school league championship.
Kratz said to the Tarpons, beat it. You're not playing here this year. All right, Kolten Wong's going to be joining us soon, just working on his setup. So I'll keep answering fan questions in the meantime, and then we will get to Kolten. Let's see what we have here. Army asks, does throwing in a spring training stadium benefit young call-ups, as the environment they get called up to is more similar to what they saw in AA or AAA? It's kind of a cool question, right? If you're a big league call-up and your first game happens to be either in Oakland's new home ballpark or Tampa's potential or temporary home ballpark, which are both minor league ballparks, does that maybe ease the nerves a little bit for pitchers or for hitters? What do you guys think?
No, that's the worst. That's got to be the worst thing ever for a big leaguer. Not the worst thing ever. I'm being sobbing, but it's not. That's you. Hey, 10, 30 years down the road. Hey, Dad, tell me the first stadium you've ever played in the big leagues. This is going to be awesome. I'm writing a report about you because you're my daddy-o. I played at Legends Field or Steinbrenner Field. I played at Sacramento Stadium. Yeah.
Hey, son, you know the Tampa Tarpons? I played in their ballpark. He's like, Dad, the A-ball team? I thought you made it to the big. I did. Wait, I'll take it one step further. What if you get called up for that series? That's the only series of your life.
Man.
This is, so I wasn't looking at it the way Todd was looking at it, but I like how Todd was looking at it. I think it does. I think it's a great question, because I'll go back to Clint Frazier. I guess I'll do a Clint Frazier story later.
During the break, I'm going to say that. I'm writing it down, okay?
Don't leave anybody at the door.
No, we won't. Kolten Wong joining us right now, longtime big leaguer here on FT, always looking fresh. Kolten, great to see you, man. How you doing?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for coming on here, dude. So where are you at, first of all? Are you looking to keep it running? What is your status as a player? And then we'll ask you about some other stuff too.
Yeah, obviously last year kind of started off in AAA and then It's a little humbling, when you go from the big leagues 10 straight years and getting down to AAA. So I was down there for a little while. Kind of figured, right with the Diamondbacks, I didn't really have an opportunity. So took a step back and just tried to enjoy my family. The year before, I had my second son in Seattle, and it was just a whirlwind of things going on. Just mentally wasn't there, and I was just, just felt like I needed to kind of step away and have some family time and kind of get that going and see, where I wanted to be.
So this offseason, though, are you, looking to talk to teams, and how does that process go now where you want to get back on the field, obviously on the major league side, unless, it's with two teams that are going to be at minor league parks, but that's a different story we've been talking about today.
No, man. Yeah, definitely open to it. Obviously kind of open to everything, even internationally. That was kind of a big thing for me too. I always talked about, possibly ending up in Japan one day, kind of experience in baseball. I did it in college, got a chance to do that with Team USA and loved it. Didn't play much, but just loved the atmosphere and everything about it. So it was something that, I'm considering too. But yeah, definitely open, man. I don't feel like I'm done yet, so I want to keep going.
What does that look like? What does that look like in the offseason? Because when did you leave AAA? Was that in May?
July.
July. So now you're
Yep.
looking at July, August, September, October, November. You're about 5 months out. Have you been lifting every day? Have you been hitting like once a week? Did you pick a ball up and you're like, man, the old brasso doesn't feel good? What does that look like for you?
No, man, I've been training. I've been training, still staying. For me, I just love working out, so that's just part of life for me. I'm constantly pushing myself just to see how good I can be. And I got two boys, so I got to make sure I can keep up. But obviously, man, just staying in the gym, hitting here and there, doing my thing. I feel like it's going to take probably a showcase or something for me to go to, just to kind of show people I'm still there, still got everything going. I feel like I kind of proved that my last year when I was, I had a tough, obviously, first half with Seattle, and then came back strong with LA towards the end and finished strong. And I felt like that was a showing to show everybody that, I wasn't, done. Just was not there mentally. It was one of the things that, I had to take a step back, like I said, and, really figure out if I wanted to keep doing this or not. And, I think after LA, it really showed me that I know I can still do it and I want to do it, but maybe it might be in international water. So we'll see.
Let me ask you this. This is a fun question here. You played a couple years with the Cardinals with Matt Holliday, and then ended up in spring training with Jackson Holliday, his son, man. So does that make you feel old for one, or is that's just something really cool? Talk a little bit about both the guys and, the different quirks that they got, even though they're both, father-son action. I thought that was a pretty cool fact.
Hey, the craziest thing, man, is like, I tell everybody, it's the weirdest story because I'll be taking a shower my rookie year. And all of a sudden, Jackson Holliday comes in, and I'm like, bro, what is this kid doing in the shower with me? And now I'm like, dude, I'm actually your teammate, and like we're going in the shower together. This is so weird, bro. Like, I feel super old. It's so funny, man. But dude, the kid is an absolute professional. That's why like when he was kind of struggling in the season, I'm like, dude, take a step back. You guys need to relax. This is a bona fide big league kid, man. He's gonna be just fine. Dad is, like you guys know, Dad is top notch. I got a chance to play with the dad, and one of the best dudes that I've played with, best dudes I got a chance to be around. And man, it's just crazy to see his son. And then now you see Ethan too. Ethan's about to be another stud. So that family's incredible, man. I'm pumped for that family. And dude, Jackson, just can't say enough about how good that kid's gonna be.
All right, so you were playing in minor league parks. We gotta hit it right now. It just came out that the Rays are going to be playing at Steinbrenner Field, or maybe you knew it as Legends Field. They're going to be playing in Tampa, and obviously you could be. Did you get to go to Sacramento from Reno? Did you play in Sacramento last year?
Dude, so I missed Sacramento when I was there.
Yeah,
we never went. It was second half only, and I was like, I'm good.
You're good, but now a big league team's going to play there. Like, how do you wrap your head around that? Not only as a former big leaguer that would play there, but then also now as a free agent, a big league free agent who's like, I wouldn't mind if the A's would want a 2-time Gold Glover to man second base for him. Like, I'd be down with that, even though it's in Sacramento.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I feel like there's so much adjustments kind of going on in baseball. But for me, I would be pumped regardless, just to kind of get back out there and be able to get my feet dirty again. I love the game, man. Appreciate what the game gave me, and obviously, he's kind of seeing the end, it's like, man, I know I got a little left. So at this point, man, I'll play anywhere just to get another chance.
I love that. Hey, Kolten, let me ask you about the St. Louis Cardinals. What do you think about, the direction of the franchise? Obviously, you knew or have known John Mozeliak for a long time. He's announced he's basically going to kind of step aside a little bit after this year. Chaim Bloom's going to take over. So I'm sure you still know plenty of people that work for the team. What do you think about the state of the org? And also, I like this part of it. They're going to work on adding more of an instructional staff, kind of adding to what's going on behind the scenes to help the development process to try and get them back on track. Because, your days there, it was auto playoffs every year.
I mean, absolutely. The biggest thing, man, when I was there, it was ingrained in us the Cardinal way, how to play the game the right way, how to do things the right way. And, the small ball, executing on every aspect, being as clean as you can on the field. And, that was something that I feel like kind of gave me a path to have the career that I had. And, so I'm thankful always for that. And I think that's kind of where they need to kind of get back to, is not worry so much about analytics and all these things, because their niche was always being old school small ball. That was always the thing. And you always had the big hitters here and there to kind of, the Matt Hollidays and guys like that to kind of drive in the runs. But the rest of the guys, you had John Jays, you had me, guys that were we knew our role. We knew what to do. We knew how to just get on base. And now I think with analytics and all these things, sometimes it muddies the water a little bit. It gets a little dirty and you don't realize, what your true identity was. And I think getting kind of back to that, obviously with analytics too, but just getting back to the Cardinal way, I think will be a big thing for this organization. And we'll definitely get them back on track.
Did you see them lose their way? Did you, while you were there, did you see like little things? Because I'll give you an example. When I first came up in 2010, I was with the Pirates. So it was like, okay, I see these guys. Every scouting meeting, it was like every pitcher they bring up, even if we don't know the guy, he's a 1-2 to the plate. Yes, Yachty can throw, but everybody's slow. Then all of a sudden, as I'm watching it, like now there's dudes that are like 1.35s. Now there's dudes that are 1.5s. Now it's like this dude throws a billion, but he's a 1.7 to the plate. We're taking free bases. Did you see that deteriorate over your time there?
Yeah, I wouldn't just say it was the Cardinals, though. I would kind of say it was a league-wide thing. Pitchers just kind of, analytics, fell in love with the strikeout, understanding that that's the biggest thing in the game. That's what you get paid for, and people just really buying into that and not realizing, man, it's just there's a purity with playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. Understanding how to do the little things, keeping a runner close, keeping him from getting a scoring position, how big that is for a pitcher and its ERA, and all these things. It's like, I feel like we're losing track a little bit of just the old school game, understanding the little things that happen inside the game that make the biggest differences, and it's not always the big home run. It's what set up the big home run, what set up the big inning. There's a lot of things that always I just make the game fun. And I think that's kind of where we're getting away from. It's not a video game where you can press X, triangle, square, and we're going to continue to do the right things. You gotta be in the game, and you gotta feel what's going on, see what's going on, and be able to react. And I think that's what fans really miss. And as a baseball purist, that's what I miss too. Can
they do both? Because they don't have Yachty and Molina anymore. I mean, the boys, y'all were leaning on that man.
That was as much as we had managers, man. That was him. I mean, you had guys in the club, the dugout that were there, but when we play the game, we all know who we're going to. Yachty was our guy for everything. I would sit down and ask him questions about things throughout the game, and he always had his insights, and it was just so much different than anything I could even think of. And it was just like, oh, there's a reason why this organization is where it is. I mean, obviously they have Wilson, and Wilson is World Series champ. He's awesome. It's just, I think when you're raised in the Cardinals organization, you understand it to a different degree. And I think Wilson's an amazing guy. Played against him forever. I think he's awesome. I think he's going to be great for the Cardinals. It's just like, I think Yachty was born and raised. And when you got three brothers, you guys are all World Series champs. It's pretty sweet.
Hey, Kolten, question for you on the fundamentals and making sure that's important and still played out that way. kind of a two-parter here. One, do you think that there's anything in particular that needs to improve just in the game itself? Is it training and practicing in a certain way and focusing on things? Is it players out of position? And then the second part here that ties in is, you watch the World Series, the Yankees have guys out of position. Obviously, they were not a fundamentally sound team, base running and even fielding, of course, while the Dodgers did a lot of little things really well. And that was a huge difference in the World Series.
It's funny how you tend to see like the guys who kind of do all the things well, they always end up in the right spot. And the Dodgers, I feel like from the get-go of the playoffs, you're watching guys and they had the right guys in there, man. You have Tommy Edman, you have Kike Hernandez, guys who know how to win, guys who know their role, like I said, and set up those big innings for Freddie. And, you set up those big innings for Shohei and Mookie and all these. I mean, it's what a team. But, yeah, man, it's just I think that's been the biggest thing, I think, is just understanding that just where we're going right now with baseball. We can add analytics. There's a huge place for it. I do think, I learned so much through the hit tracks and all these things and, how to become a little more consistent of my swing, but it's also understanding that swing is not to play on every single situation. There's a time where I'm going to need to get the guy over. So I'm going to need a rollover. And it might look bad on my analytical stats, but at the end of the day, like that job is what put my other guy in a position to get this job done. And I think, yeah, man, I think there's a give and take to everything. And, it's just one of those things where we got to figure that out.
My final question to you is, it's a little different than what we're talking about. We're talking Juan Soto. Where do you think the big guy is going this year, man? If you had to make a choice, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be some big dollars? Talk to me.
Oh, my God, bro. To think about what he's done in his career already, it's insane, man. This guy is he's almost Hall of Fame status already he's 28 years old. If I'm the Yankees, I cannot let this guy walk. I feel like we're holding on to this guy. Write him a blank check, bro. Tell him fill it out. Here's my signature. Like that guy changes the lineup, man. He changes the feel of a team. You got him and Judge in the same lineup. That's going to be scary for a lot of years, regardless. So, I think I know he was talking about, he wants to be. So I'm 28 years old. They're going to give him maybe 12 for. 20?
Wait, help him out, Kratz, because he's younger than that.
I'm gonna blow your mind, Kolten. My man's still only 26.
Just turned it.
Oh my
Just
God.
turned 26. He's gonna play all next year. 26 years old.
Oh, wow. Yes, golly. Oh. So
What'd
no
you say,
wonder that
12?
$700 million looks pretty good, huh? Golly, bro. 26 and here, he got a Hall of Fame career like that. Insane.
So 26, he's going to play all next year at 26. Essentially, he'll be 28 years old in his third season with his new team. What do you think? What's your final number? You kind of said like a question. You were like 12 for 520. Like we need.
Well, now he's got to go to 14.
Yeah. I'm trying to I don't even know how to compute that kind of numbers in my head right now. Annual AA value. I'm like, wow, God, like, whew. Judge got 40. Judge got 2 MVPs. God, he's got to be around the same thing, bro. So 40 a year. I don't know what that equips to, but
560.
I wouldn't see him
14 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't see him turning that down.
14 years. 40 a year.
Yeah, amazing bat. He's
got to get more than Judge, though. He's got to get more than Judge.
Yeah, just.
Oh, he gone.
Earthquake.
Yeah, he's good. 14,560. That sounds good.
I just think, man, it's just like if he was a little quicker, a little better of a defender, you can obviously push for a little more. But you got to give Shohei his flowers, man. I think 700 for Shohei is a steal. This dude did what he did and didn't even pitch this year. Like, people don't even realize, bro, this guy's got 7 pitches and none of them are the same. He's got 4 different curveballs. Bro, wait till he's in LA and wait till he's healthy. 700 is going to be a steal, as crazy as it's to say.
Well, it is, especially because present day value, because it's a massively deferred contract. It's only 460. And Soto's going to beat him pretty easy. So you're right. Dodgers have a steal. We've talked on our show about how the Dodgers this year alone, just on Shohei marketing money from companies, obviously many of them in Japan, are over the $100 million mark. just on one season alone. They're profiting like crazy on him. So, yeah,
you kind of do that. I mean, when you sign him and then you sign, was it Yamamoto, and they're going for this other guy too? I mean, you're basically signing all of Japan. So you have that whole entire country watching you now. Like,
no doubt.
You guys are smart, man.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers are their
Dodgers.
Super Bowl. Exactly. Well, Kolten, awesome talking to you, catching up with you. Good luck, dude. Keep us posted, and would love to have you back on, of course, when you latch on with someone.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on, man. This was fun.
Yeah, same here. Appreciate you. See ya. Kolten Wong with us on FT. Coming right back. Ryan Presley of the Astros. $14 million on the hook next year. Other teams could use relievers. Astros might want to clear some space for Bregman. You got a no? I'm going to go a yes. Okay. Next up, Carlos Correa. I talked about him the other day. Thumbs up. You guys are both down.
But, I mean, this is your list. They better all be thumbs up.
No, they're not all thumbs up. Oh. Nolan Arenado.
I think they would love to trade him, but I don't know if they can find someone to take him.
Will he get traded? Yes? You guys have yeses? I'll actually go no on this one. Okay. I'll go no. Luis Robert. I'll go no.
I hope he gets traded.
He won't before the season starts.
I hope he gets traded.
I'll do 2 Rays. Ready? Brandon Lau.
That was the 5th guy on my list, but I went with Lamont Wade Jr.
I'm going to go no. Kratz?
They got to pay for a roof. He's expensive. He's out.
I don't know what's his contract. I don't know what he's making this year.
It's about 10 mil. It's about 10 mil coming up this year.
No.
And then Yandy Diaz. No? It's close. All right, fine. I'll go no.
Brandon Lau's a yes. He was actually it was like Lamont Wade Jr. was 5A and Brandon Lau was 5 like A. And I just went with Lamont Wade because I seemed like Brandon Lau was too obvious.
Last one.
AJ sent his list like 7 seconds after we were tasked with this. So that 5A was quick.
Last one. So Jim Bowden wrote an article about players he thinks could get traded. And just give me a sec to explain this because I don't think he'll be traded. But he said the Blue Jays have given no indications that they would trade Vladdy this offseason. But one National League general manager told him that he believes that the Blue Jays will change their mind when they realize they have little chance of extending Vladdy. After Pete Alonso and Christian Walker, who are the top free agents first base-wise, sign, this NLGM, anonymous, thinks that the Blue Jays will be enticed by the franchise trading trade offers that they could receive for Vladdy Jr. because their farm system really needs it. So, Vladdy Jr. traded this offseason? I'm saying no. One more. Will he sign an extension with the Blue Jays?
During this season? No.
During the offseason.
Yeah. Afterwards, after he goes to the market, because he's going to see what Pete gets, he's going to see what Christian Walker gets, and he's going to be like, I'm 9 years younger than both of these guys. I need to get, Albert Pujols type of money. I need to get Prince Fielder type of money. Well, we ain't there anymore, Vladdy. And then he'll go right back to the Blue Jays, and I think he should stay a Blue Jay.
Weeds are getting a lot of attention lately. So today we're going to do the 5 players that will not be back with their teams, right? So this could be trade, this could be free agency, however you want to slice it. And we're doing this on a national scale. So we're looking at all the players, all the teams. We've got 5 each. Erik Kratz, you are first. Unveil your list and then give us some of the juicy details on why you think it's going down that way.
This is not what I think. This is what's going to happen because I talked to each one of these guys and this is facts. I think this is how people are doing it on Twitter nowadays. They're just spewing out just garbage and saying it's facts. My list starts off with World Series champion Jack Flaherty will not sign back with the Dodgers. I think he'll sign with the Cubs. I think the Cubs are going to meddle in this market. Well, I think the Cubs should meddle in the Fried and Burns market. I think they're going to meddle in the Jack Flaherty market, which is a solid pickup if he continues to do what he did. I got Anthony Santander, also not coming. He's not going to be back with the Orioles because the Orioles are cheap. But I think the Orioles are going to extend one of their young guys this offseason. And that's more of a hope than a think. So Santander's 44 homers are going somewhere else. I don't have a landing spot for him. But and then my friend, like we talked to our buddy Kevin McAlpin. I already talked to him about it. Kyle Higashioka, lock it in. Atlanta Braves. They're a team that really, really – like they follow analytics in the catching sense, and no greater stat than SLAA plus, strikes looking above average. And Kyle Higashioka has been a top 5 receiver for the last 6 years in the big leagues. He had 18 pumps, which is actually better than the 15 that Darno hit in more at-bats last year, and he killed him in the playoffs. Kyle Higashioka, Atlanta Brave. This is my next one for all you Yankee fans, and Derek Lewandowski can listen to this one. Clay Holmes will not be back with the Yankees. The Yankees fans have not wanted him for a long time. He's going to go to a place that has a larger stadium for a ground ball pitcher. He's going to go to Kansas City. He's going to sign with KC. He's going to be a nice 8th inning piece for them behind Lucas Erceg. And it's a lot of ground balls. They're going to play great defense behind him. And my last person that's not going to be back with their team, Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi and all of his billion strikeouts, he's going to have a high ERA. That's okay. Is going to sign with the aforementioned cheap team, Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like it.
Kratzy getting in depth. I'm not going to get that in depth. But I'm going to say these guys will not be back on the squad. All right, Scotty, is it my turn?
Yeah, you're up, big boy.
All right, let me go. I got them all written down in no particular order. I think some people in the metro area here would understand this. Pete Alonso is the first guy I thought of. I don't think he's going to be a Met anymore. I will tell you this. I think he will be a Yankee. I think he stays in New York because, I think some of this is going to come down to Juan Soto, because if they do have the money, I think they definitely go over Pete Alonso. He's one of the top-rated guys last year in picking balls from infielders. The guy can play first base. Does he still need work? Of course, but he's a power hitter. He's going to get 30-plus homers every year. That's a positive note for hopefully, the Yankees. Christian Walker, this guy's been talked about forever. I see him going to a contending team. I don't see him going back to the D-backs.
Hold up. Bring me in.
What?
The D-backs are a contending team. You're just saying that they won't pay him as much as
I
maybe
I think it was just 1 year. I know you say contending. They didn't make the playoffs, so for me that's not contending. In my opinion.
They made the World Series 2 years ago, and they missed the playoffs.
They did, but game. It's a what have you done for me lately world, and we all know that. We're going to go back to the Yankees here. Gleyber Torres will not be a Yankee next year. There's going to be a team who values him a little bit more than the Yankees do. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I do see him going to a team where it's like, hey, we're going to take you and we're going to let you go here. Go play second base and be that guy, because he did have a good year. Blake Snell is my next one. He needs a recharge. I would like to see him back on the East Coast. I don't have no team in particular, but I think, getting him back on the East side here in the Midwest, at least the Midwest, I don't know why. I think he plays better in the East Coast. And my last one, which, it came to me right away when I was looking at all these free agents, Aroldis Chapman. I see Aroldis, and I raise you another Aroldis. This guy had a really good year last year. He's still throwing hard. And I think he's going to go to another contending team. I could see him even going back to the Yankees on a nice little deal. So those are my top 5 right there.
Very nice. Okay, so I didn't see what you guys were putting together, and I wanted to just put a blend together. So I do have Gleyber on my list as well. Ooh. Todd Father. I've seen more than I thought I would articles saying that they think he's going to return, and I just really don't see it. And I think there are going to be other teams that value him more, like you said, and I could see actually the Royals being a fit. The Royals need another bat. I think he'd be a nice fit there with KC. I think some other spots, probably Toronto could be a fit. I know Seattle's been mentioned. My only thing with Seattle is you can't offer him a 1-year deal. That's got to be a multi-year. There are other teams that could potentially pull off a 1-year, high 1-year contract for him to prove it and get back on the market because he's pretty young and his postseason was great, but his regular season wasn't up to speed for him. But you're not generally a free agent going to Seattle to try and up the offensive numbers, right? So I could see that being a fit, but they'd have to offer him, I think, 3 or 4 years. All right. Willy Adames is the easiest one. I just want to get one obvious guy out there. I mean, the Brewers don't play ball to that extent. So Adames, he gone. Max Fried, I think he's not coming back to Atlanta. They had a lot of time to figure this out. So at this point, you got this far. I just don't see it. I mean, are the Braves going to shell out significant cash, really paying market value at this point when most of their players are on team-friendly extensions? They never could figure that out with him. I do think he might want to end up back on the West Coast guy, and I think there will be teams on the West Coast that are interested in his services. Obviously, there's some teams in the Northeast as well, but yeah, I think he's gone. I think they had a lot of time to figure this out, and it didn't happen. Garrett Crochet, I mean, that's a lock. I'd be shocked if he's not traded this offseason. So hitting a couple trade targets here at the end. And then, of course, Devin Williams, too. He is gone. I think both of those guys at the end need to be traded in the offseason. I know sometimes Kratz, GMs can get tight and try and hold the leverage of, well, we can do this at the trade deadline. I'd just be careful. Guys get hurt. Williams has had weird injury issues. He played half a season last year. He was really good when he came back, besides the homer to Pete Alonso in the playoffs. And Garrett Crochet obviously had a breakout year, but he's had injury history. He pitched a lot more than he ever had in the past. So don't you agree that both of these players should be traded this offseason and you don't hold the leverage of, hey, we could do this at the trade deadline? I'm like, oof. Can you imagine if the White Sox hold on to him and then he gets hurt in May? I mean, they'd be out with pitchforks.
It's gonna be May.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Crochet you can wait. You can't wait with Devin Williams. Sorry, this team tries to contend. They do it year in and year out. It's break it down, rebuild it as another big league contending playoff team. You can't wait on Devin Williams. You can't wait. And he's clearly, if he's available, they have a top asset. He is the top tradable closing asset out there, and everybody needs closers.
Yeah, it should be easy. Obviously, the Brewers are pretty good on the trade front. They've had to do this quite a bit in the past. They did this with Josh Hader. And actually, if you follow the web of that deal, it did work out pretty well for them. The web includes a little William Contreras action for Milwaukee, ultimately, right? Because Estuary Ruiz, and then Ruiz ends up turning into Contreras and others. Really good deal for them. Piamps, the whole deal. So anyway, hope you like the list. Comment, let us know others that you think are not going to return to their team. They were on the team in 24. You don't think they're returning in 2025. Next up, Eno Sarris is going to join us, and we will definitely start with Roki Sasaki because he has an interesting take on what he could see him looking like in Major League Baseball. That's next. All right, so I'll see if we can get this little graphic together for these couple minutes. It's the highest paid starting pitchers in 2024 and what they put together. Codify put this tweet out there on wins saying that the group had 21 total wins. It's Scherzer, Verlander, it's DeGrom, it's Cole, it's Corbin, and it is Strasburg. They made a total of $233 million just in 2024. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some fans that crap on this and go, oh, this is why you shouldn't spend, blah, blah, blah. But in all seriousness, besides the fact that we have more pitching injuries now than we ever have, is there anything else that can be learned from this? Because I have one thought, but I'm curious to hear if you guys have anything that we should take from a note or a stat like this.
I'm not a big fan of this. One, don't put Strasburg on there. Mm-hmm. Two, Patrick Corbin's been down for a minute, and he came back, and he's made every one of his starts. So I get it. They're paying him a ton of money, but it's kind of like we talked about Shohei. All that money that they paid to Patrick Corbin, it's already worth it. He won a World Series, so that contract was worth it. Don't lump him into you can put him and Strasburg in their own separate category and say the Nats are all this stuff. DeGrom, when he's healthy, will be legitimate. Scherzer and Verlander have had good years during these contracts. They didn't this year. That pitchers last longer than position players. And it just so happens that the top ones in the annual AAV during this part of their contract, they're not playing or they're not doing well.
Hey, Scherzer was on a big deal with the Nats. That was worth every penny and much more. Cole, in my mind, has already been worth it for the Yankees. Obviously, Yankee fans might say we haven't won a World Series. It ain't Cole's fault. Man, you'd have some really crappy years if you didn't have Cole for the last several seasons. Yeah. So my one thing that I'll throw out there, it's a topic for another day, but we got to figure out how to get younger arms paid more. But that's a collective bargaining agreement issue where in our sport, there's guys who dominate and make 700 Gs for years being the top pitcher in baseball. But that's just how the system's set up. I know you disagree, but I think you need to balance that out a little more. If you're a 22-year-old stud, if you're Paul Skeens, you should be making more.
Love it.
The question will always be, how much?
Eno Sarris from The Athletic joining us right now. Also, check out his Rates and Barrels podcast that they've talked about Roki Sasaki. We're about to talk about him. Eno, good to see you. I was like, please, can we get Eno on? Because I read your article about Sasaki, but I'm going to throw you a curveball that you will like. Can you remind everyone what you said about a year ago about Shota Imanaga?
Oh, yeah. I said he was going to be worth his contract. He's going to be as good as Yamamoto, maybe. Would be one of the best signings of the offseason. So, I mean, I think that's where some of the science of pitching has come really far. Is we've identified really good shapes of pitches. We've identified what good stuff is. And, Shota has that great ride on that fastball. And it really proved to be – and he was a great signing. The Cubs did a really good job of that.
Hey, Kratz, should we have him pick up his mic and just drop it to start here? Some people had him thinking he was going to be out of the rotation in a couple months. And, Wrigley, he can't handle the ballpark, blah, blah, blah. Eno comes on our show and he's like, I think this guy's got top-end stuff. And he had a freaking dynamite first year.
He's feeling it, though. Look at him. He's like, yeah, I did. Like, I don't even need to drop my mic. So I have to say, since you're all arrogant over there, anybody, see, now you're surprised that I called you arrogant because you got, before we get to Sasaki, is there anybody whose stuff you look at and you're like, how is this not working? Because analytics, it's kind of, scouting, everyone's like, they screwed that guy up or, they picked this guy. Analytics is the same way. And the way we're evaluating pitches is the same way. There's misses. So who's a miss that you're like, this should change?
I think one of the biggest misses for my model has been Graham Ashcraft. He throws really hard and he throws two really good pitches. I think the problem is he only throws two pitches and one's a cutter and one's a sweeper. It's like he basically a one pitch pitcher because one's good for lefties, one good's for righties. So I think that's a big part of it. When you look at, last year's stuff leaders, nobody really sticks out. Cutter Crawford and Tanner Houck really scored really well. And some of the time they had some struggles and they had some good times. I think Fenway is a really tough place to pitch. If you look at Cutter Crawford's home and away splits, it's a big deal for him. I don't think he's figured it out quite yet. So, generally, good stuff rises to the top. There are guys, Hunter Green was a guy who had great stuff and bad results, but then last year he kind of figured it out. So with starting pitching, you start with good stuff. Sometimes it takes a couple years to figure out how do I put these things together? How do I get guys out, second and third time through the order? How do I, kind of put the pieces together?
Or it could take like 8 years, like Sean Manaea, and just say, I'm just going to change everything mid-season and do some crazy thing, which we can ask you about if we have time later. But I do want to get to Roki Sasaki here as the headliner. So you see that he gets posted. You start analyzing what you can use from what we saw at the World Baseball Classic in terms of collecting data and anything that you've been able to see and collect from overseas? Add it all up, and what do you think? What do you think he's going to look like in Major League Baseball in 2025?
I think on the top end, we're talking about a Lucas Erceg that starts. So Lucas Erceg for 6 innings. We're talking about like closer level stuff for 6 innings. It's not the best ride, but it's really great velo. He was sitting 99. He was sitting 100 in the WBC. He's sitting 98, 99 in Japan. That's the top end, is just like closer level stuff for 6 innings. He has lost some velo, and he's lost shape, and he's had some physical issues while he's been over there. So it's not quite the slam dunk of a Yamamoto or even a Shota, because, on the lower end, he's more of a Gavin Williams, sitting 96, 97 with a kind of a 2-plane fastball instead of a real, like a rider like Shota has. So, it's more of a Gavin Williams with a plus forkball. That's the range. And it's still a really good range. So that's why everybody's interested. Also because they're going to get him basically on a minor league contract. He's going to be like under team control for 6 years. So that's another reason. So if you could get somebody that could be Gavin Williams or basically be a 6-inning closer, that's why everybody's interested.
What's his value if he's not a minor? If he were, I know it's hypothetical, but what is, do you value him based on what everybody saw from Yamamoto this season? Do you value him that he would be worth more, that he would be a better pitcher, or is that last year's health concerns and velo drop him down below what Yamamoto was coming into last season?
Yeah, I mean, you got this idea of like a platform year, like what did you do your most recent year? And Gavin, I'm calling him Gavin Williams now. Roki's not coming off of as good of a platform year as Yamamoto. He's not showed as good health. So I would not give him the $300 million that the Dodgers gave Yamamoto. I might give him something like the DeGrom contract that the Rangers gave him. I forget exactly what it was. It was like 2-something. I might still give him a 2-something because it is really exciting stuff. He is young, and you just hope that basically you get, if you have him for 6 years or 7 years, you get 4 or 5 really great years out of him. And maybe 1 year where he has Tommy John or whatever. So that's the math I would do, is not quite the $300 million.
Well, for DeGrom's deal with Texas, he is at, I believe it's 5 years, 185. So do you think that's more the range that
he's younger than that, so maybe like a 6-year version of that, like a 6 or
Well, my question is, even if you don't have him in Yamamoto range, it's the age, right? He's so young. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a couple years younger than Yama. So if he was just able to be a total free agent at this age, he's what, 22 or 23, I think? Yeah, 23. Wouldn't he probably still get a 10-year offer from a team, and even if the average annual value is lower? So, because DeGrom.
You just never want to hear the word shoulder. It's I don't know. Maybe that's an old idea, but the idea before is like an elbow you can fix, the shoulder, can lead to really bad outcomes. I mean, when we talk about shoulder capsule, like Brandon Woodruff just had, or labrum surgery, those are still the kind of surgeries that have worse outcomes. So, shoulder soreness is something that will turn some people off. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a 10-year version. Maybe it's like a 250, 10 and 250. I don't think you put the $300 million on him just because he hasn't shown the same longevity as Yamamoto's, the same sort of, stuff being the same for 3-4 years.
All right. So go ahead.
No, go right ahead. You were moving. I'll go after. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to follow. So I wanted to know, in terms of preserving the shoulder, and obviously it's a young arm who had that perfect game where he threw like almost 200 pitches or something. He's had some of those crazy numbers where they beat up arms in high school sometimes in Japan. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the old school, D1 college coaches would do. So my question to you is, now we fast forward to him being in the bigs, whether it's with the Dodgers or elsewhere. Should he kind of demand that he's a once a week-ish guy, part of a 6-man rotation? Because that seems to be working for some of the guys that they're bringing over now, right? I mean, I know they still got hurt, but Kodai Senga did that essentially in his first year with the Mets. Yamamoto had extra rest on every start this year. And again, I know that they got hurt, but it does seem like trying to push a guy like that into a 5-man will not work.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. People point to Japan and say, well, they have such better health outcomes. What are they doing better? But I think one of the things is they don't throw as hard as they do here in America. And I think there's a real link between how hard you throw and how many injuries you get. And if you get these top end guys that are from Japan that are on these 6 days, they still get hurt. They're the ones who throw the hardest. They come over, they still get hurt. So the interaction between rest and how often you pitch and injury is something we're still trying to figure out, I think. But I do think that, you're talking about what he's been comfortable doing. And if you could make him comfortable doing that going forward. What I would say is, though, with injuries in baseball, it's really hard to come up with 6 starters. Like how many teams have 6 starters that they want to throw out there every time? If you throw him, in a 6-man rotation, that means also that you get less of him. You get less of your ace, So, one thing the Dodgers have done is like, it's not really officially a 6-man, but they like use rest days and they like kind of, try to science it all out. I mean, you could do something like that where he's on a 6-man, rotation, but everybody else is on a regular. I mean, it does cause problems, but it's such a boon to get a guy like this in that contract that, everybody's going to be like, hey, yeah, we'll make it work. Whatever you want. That's the kind of meetings they're having. Whatever you want, these are our resources. This is how we can make you better. Whatever you want to do, we'll make you comfortable. It's the same thing with when Shohei went and shopped around at the different places. They're giving him the same kind of pitch. This is what our city is like. This is where, where you might feel comfortable. These are our teammates that are coming to give you their pitch. And then these are our resources. This is our, technology, and this is what we can do for you.
So, yeah, that you talk about that 6-man rotation, that would be tough. If you do it just for him, everybody else is going to have to move around and change their whole thing going forward. But I want to ask you this question about him, like, so people can understand. Talk about his arsenal, what he throws. Is he deceptive? Like, what are the types of things that are going to make him successful in major leagues over here?
Yeah, it's raw. I mean, when he's at his best, it is raw gas. I mean, he's going to gas you up. I mean, like I said, he sits 100 on this fastball. It's a 2-plane fastball like Gavin Williams has, and then comes off of that with a kind of what's called a gyro slider. So it's not a huge movement slider. It's just a power bullet slider. The thing that we don't know how will come over, but mostly the splitters that have come over from Japan have fared better here because the ball is different here. And what we've seen is people like Hisashi Iwakuma told me that when he came over from Japan and started pitching in Seattle, he threw a splitter like twice as much in America than he did in Japan because with the seams the way they were, it was better here. So, if that's true, he's going to come over with something that will probably have a nickname, something like the fork, the ghost fork that Kodai throws. So if you can imagine somebody that might throw 97 like Gavin Williams does, throw a nice little bullet slider it's better than any breaking ball that Kodai Senga throws, and then throws a Kodai Senga ghost fork on top of that. That's where the promise lies. That's why it's so exciting.
All right, so I have a question off of that in terms of the arsenal. You don't want to touch the forkball, the whatever we end up calling it. We'll think of something. Our fans are usually pretty good with this, so we'll poll them, but something special, right? But do you think that there are teams that might try and tweak the fastball and or the slider based on what you're describing, right? This guy who is capable of maybe changing the pitch shape of his fastball, which many others have been able to do. And it could be the same type of deal with the slider. Because, right, that's the thing nowadays that we're seeing from guys where you're like, all right, this dude can throw really hard. Can we teach him to tweak this so that it becomes more of a dangerous pitch?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I noticed right away is, he doesn't actually have great whiff rates on the fastball. And people have kind of said, oh, well, that means he has bad shape on the fastball. But then I looked at his heat maps of where he's throwing the fastball. And in Japan, they tend to throw the ball lower in the zone, looking for more contact, looking for more ground balls. They don't pitch to the strikeout the same way they do in America. So I think immediately one of the first coaching things that'll happen is, hey, let's elevate that fastball. Even if it's a 2-plane fastball without as much ride as some other guys, you're going to get more whiffs at the top of the zone with that fastball just by elevating it. So I think that's one thing they would do. And then, yes, they could maybe coax some more vertical movement out of that pitch as well. I don't see anything from his slot or his mechanics that says that he couldn't. He's not kind of a low slot sinker guy, So there's a couple ways that could be. And as much as, the kind of technology advancements are, proliferating in Japan, it's still a little bit more advanced here in terms of the technology and the science behind pitch movements and pitch shapes. So I do think that part of the presentations, what Roki Sasaki's hearing right now, part of that will be, hey, here's our plan for making you even better. Here's our plan for taking your fastball and making it even better. So I think that's something you'll hear right now.
Another pitcher who had a pretty good rookie season, Luis Gil. I want you to, go over, express to me his year. What's your thoughts on his first rookie year and how you think he did with everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy with gas, and he's a guy that's stuff plus. My stat over at FanGraphs loved from the get-go because he's got ride, he's got a nice power gyro, and then he's got one of those like power King Felix type power changeups. That's a ton of movement. The only flaw that I see in his game is command, and that's something that's been a problem for him in the minors. This year, it was pretty good, and I think to some extent he has such good stuff that he can kind of throw to the middle of the zone, let the movement take it away from the heart of the zone, and not focus too much on dotting the corners. But one thing I do see that he likes to do is he likes to throw that changeup, which has plus movement at righties, right on right. And that's really confusing for a lot of hitters, and it's a good way to get guys out. It's also a good way to hit batters. So that's going to be something he's going to deal with is can he improve his command of the slider so that he can go more to slider against righties? Or is he just going to get more comfortable next year and be able to dot the stuff a little better?
All right, so let's finish with this free agent market starting pitching question. Have you done some decent analysis yet on maybe one name that you really like where when we see that signing, as long as it's in a decent money range, you're going to go, they got a good one there, and then one on the other side. Obviously looking at, go wherever you want if you've got names already in mind, but Burns and Fried and Minaya and Kikuchi and Montas and Evaldi, et cetera, right? Severino down the line. Are there any guys that maybe one you like, one you don't like?
Well, I did just write a piece on The Athletic about guys who could start this coming season that were relieving last season. So Jeff Hoffman, I think, is an interesting name because you could sign him to something like the Jordan Hicks deal where you say, hey, if he's our setup man closer and we got him for 3 and 35 or 3 and 40, that's fine. That's a fine outcome. But if he's, one of our starters for that money, then we really did well. So I think the Jeff Hoffman signing will be by a smart team that will give him a chance to start again. A lot of the reasons why he didn't do so well last time was Cincinnati, Colorado. Also, his arsenal was totally different. He throws totally different pitches now than he did back then. So I think Hoffman's a sneaky smart one. I think that, I think I'd be a little bit worried with Jack Flaherty just because, when I see his splits, above 94 miles an hour, he's a totally different pitcher on the fastball, and below 94, it's a totally different results. That makes sense because 94 is the league average fastball now. So if he's falling behind, and that's something that generally happens to pitchers. I think when you put up that thing earlier about the older pitchers and who did well, the guys with the big wide arsenals do well. That's how they age well because they can start throwing, all these different pitches. Think about Zach Greinke near the end. He wasn't the best pitcher in the world, but he had like 6 pitches. He could do anything. He could put them anywhere. That's not what I see out of Flaherty. I think he's mostly like a 2-3 pitch guy. So I think that might be one that I would maybe try to avoid a little bit. Corbin Burns, I think, is, reminds me a little bit of Garrett Cole in that like he's been a stud in terms of innings. You can point to some reduced stuff, but I think he also has that potential to really widen his arsenal as he goes. He started throwing a sweeper near the end of last year that he didn't really throw that much, but it was great. And I think he has that touch on breaking balls where he can be cutter, curve, sweeper, gyro slider, just be a guy who has like 5 breaking balls. That's kind of what Max Scherzer was doing when he was nearing the end of his career. So I like Corbin Burnes at the top of the market. I think he's going to be worth the money.
Those are some good calls. Yeah. Corbin Burnes, you watch, you're just like, yeah, he's different. He can, even if he needs later in the contract, transform himself, the whole deal. So good call. Yeah, I thought about Ronaldo Lopez too from last offseason when you said Hoffman, and then Nate Eovaldi, who has 5-6 pitches, uses them all as long as he stays healthy. But yeah, good stuff. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate the time. Everyone check out his work in The Athletic. Give him a follow on Twitter. Check out his podcast, Rates and Barrels. Appreciate it, Eno.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Be right back, FT fam. All right, BetMGM futures. Let's look at the NLCS for next year. Yes, you can already throw down, and Todd Father's already thinking about it next season. Because I will remind everyone that sometimes you can find significant value based on how you think a offseason is going to play out. And you could say, well, the winner of the offseason doesn't necessarily win the World Series. And I'm like, Dodgers. So if you do see something, then you might want to ride it. So also last year in the offseason, we were like, I'm really worried about the White Sox. They could be really, really bad. I think they're being overvalued. Like they're going to lose more games than that. And Kratz and I very, very hardly emphasized that you should think about putting money down on them being the worst team in baseball. And that hit really well. It was like plus 500. Wow. All right, so let's look at the NLCS, division of winning team. NL Central, NL East, NL West. Clearly, BetMGM is not a huge fan of the NL Central going into the 2025 season. But Todd Father, I think some of that has to do with the fact that the Cubs have already kind of hinted they're not going to play top 5, top 7 payroll ball.
Yeah, I think this one, I'm surprised that NL West isn't a minus. I just think the Padres and I think the Dodgers are going to be 2 of the best in baseball next year in the National League for sure. And I could see one of those 2 guys moving on to the World Series. So I would be heavy on the NL West if I was making a prediction right now.
I love both of those.
Like the East.
I love both of them. And I know Todd loves the East too because he lives out there, so don't go there. But that don't mean you can't make any money in the West.
Yeah.
To me, I like it that they're both plus money. I get it. It's pretty much even money for the NL West. And the Dodgers do push it over. But the Braves and Phillies they do things. And the thing that pushes it for me is the Mets push it over the Giants.
Okay. Yeah. Don't touch the NL Central if you learned anything. Bonus code's FOUL, F-O-U-L. I can spell it. If you're a first-time BetMGM user and you put at least $10 into your account, first wager, go up to $1,500 back in bonus bets, depending on how much you place. If that bet loses, gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's hit a little signing. There was a little signing in the past 24 hours. It's Kevin Newman to the Angels. And that sounds to me like a Zach Neto backup plan because I don't think he's going to start the year on the field because he's coming off shoulder surgery. So it's a good glove. And he actually hit, from what I remember, and I'll start digging into numbers a little bit more, much better than he has in the past. 278, 311 on base. Obviously, he doesn't walk a ton, 375 slug. But for a guy who plays a pretty good middle infield, second base, and shortstop, it's good. Good depth, right? It's fine.
He could play all the positions too.
Yeah. They lost Brandon Drury, and so you look at a guy that is going to fill in. If he starts 60 games for this team, they'll be upset. But if he plays in 100 games, that means it's a successful season. He's going to be a guy that's going to upgrade their defense. You're not getting a lot of slug from him, which this team, as we talked to Perry Manassian, he was saying they got to add slug. This is not to add slug. This is to add that depth piece that they didn't have last year, or that like a Tyler Wade gave the Padres, that Andrew Velasquez has given the Angels in other years. You've got to have that defensive depth that can move all over the infield. Because when Hifo's out there, you got Neto when he's healthy, he's a legit player.
And also, I remember I did play with this guy with the Pittsburgh Pirates, so he was a teammate of mine. Give him credit. All good.
I know we have like 2 seconds, but there is some when somebody forgets a teammate, and this is why I'm riding on Todd, because it is something that is like talked about all the time in the clubhouses.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you don't remember him, and some of the Latin guys will be like, no, man, I just know him as Poppy. Poppy. It's like, what's this guy's name? You're like,
Big Dog.
There's American dudes that do it too. Todd would call him Big Dog. Brandon Moss would call him Buddy. Hey, buddy. I'm like, Moss. I was like, you don't remember that guy's name, do you? He's like, no, we played together in 14. I don't remember his name.
Hey, it's tough for some people. Not every brain is created the same. I struggled with that sometimes too, going to all these different ballparks and you meet a million different people. And actually, Bob Costas had a good trick where he's like, you say their name when you say hi to them. It worked for me sometimes, but also I was just like, Bob talks a lot smarter than me. I think he just has a better memory than me.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I'm trying, but I'm failing. Different. Yeah.
You're not showering with people that these are like teammates that you're showering with, and that you're around them all the time. You're living with these dudes. You're not just meeting them in the hallway. Oh man, hey, this is Scott Braun. He's in here with the MLB Network, and he's doing the Apple podcast Nintendo Switch game day.
Okay, fair. All right, let's do this. I want to break because Kratz didn't get to finish his story about, I think, Clint Frazier. So we're going to get it next. All right, here we are. I'm looking for a couple fan questions in the meantime. Teal Pinstripe is asking for Todd's insight on Chapman ending poorly in the Bronx last time. If you knew any insight on what happened there. Wasn't that when what was it? He showed up later or he left early? What was it? I don't remember.
I don't either.
It was when they were talking about him not being on the playoff roster or not. In 22.
But then what happened? Did he just leave?
He was like, well, if I'm not going to be on the playoff roster, then why would I continue?
Stick around, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're getting. Aroldis is going to go to the beat of his own drum. You tell him a certain dress code, and he doesn't show up with the dress code that you want, right? If it's like, hey, we're all going to wear, green sweater theme day, and he shows up in his fancy Gucci, what are you gonna do? You gonna say something to him?
Not a darn thing.
And say, you got the 8th or you got the 9th. Go for it, buddy.
Just make sure you're ready for the 9th inning. That's all we asked him.
There's only a few that are like that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some where you're gonna really care and be like, yo, this guy's got to get it together. But with Aroldis, I'm like, yo, this is who he is. He's been in the league for a minute too.
And stayed healthy and still throwing 104.2 like he did this year. Like, this dude's a beast. Absolutely.
Maybe there's something to not being at the park 10 hours a day. He gets to be at home and do his thing. And
he's lifting. He's lifting with the entourage. This dude is hardcore lifting, heavy lifting. Maybe they should do that instead of like lifting their tiny little kettlebells over their shoulder. And, well, we don't want to get anything too heavy. And Aroldis is over here repping out 75s on bicep curls and doing military presses with 95s.
Turkish get-ups and all that good.
Beast.
I love that. All right, so we'll be back in a minute. Kratz, you have your story ready? So we'll have like maybe 2-3 minutes.
I'll forget it. Man. I don't remember.
But do you know what it is? Do you have it? You have it in your memory bank?
Easy.
Okay,
Easy.
cool.
I'm like an elephant.
Doesn't forget a darn thing.
I'm like an elephant. Huge nose.
It's the moment you've been waiting for. Slap hands is for things we got cut off for. So, Erik Kratz, go for it.
That song slaps. That song makes me so excited to tell my Clint Frazier story. The question was asked, playing in a minor league park, does it change people's call-up? 2020, there was nobody in the stadium. Clint Frazier was definitely, he would get nervous in games. Like he was definitely into the crowd and what people were saying on social media. He had the best season of his career by far. He was legit. There was no fans in the stands. And I really think that played a part. And even talking to him, I think it played a part. I mean, he said it played a part. He's not as nervous going to the park. He doesn't have as many distractions. So going to a minor league park, for some people, might be like, oh, what a crappy way to make my big league debut. Like, why am I playing at a low A stadium? But for others, it made me so happy because a year and a half ago, I was just playing at Suter Health Park in Sacramento, West Sacramento. So it makes it easier. So it really is depending on the person, but that's my Clint Frazier story. Otherwise known as Jackson Frazier, which he played under as a year, Clint Jackson Frazier. So if you didn't know who Clint Frazier was.
I did not know about the middle name action that was included.
Yeah, 1 year he played under Jackson. I mean, he had a lot going on. He was very distracted, and I think the COVID season helped. Nobody was in the stands to give him a hard time because everybody makes mistakes. You drop a pop-up, you field a ground ball, you throw it away, whatever. If nobody's there to really razz you about it, maybe you get over it quicker.
Big difference. Yeah, right. Big difference between Yankee Stadium crowd and minor league crowd.
True.
Huge.
Yeah. Tomorrow we have, can I announce it? One of our guests? Can we say it, Kratz?
Do it. Just say whoever you want.
Okay, Liam Hendriks. Say whoever I want. Michael Jordan joining the show.
Hey,
we're going to ask him. He's going to say no. But Liam Hendriks said yes.
The mate
joining us.
Yep.
Is he the closer for the 2025 Red Sox?
He is right now the off-season getting ready for the season, Liam. Maybe we'll ask him.
Okay. That's a less sexy title, but we'll try it tomorrow. And we're back for a few minutes leading up to Dodgers territory is coming up. Mm-hmm. By the way, we kind of run 10 shows these days. So there's Tiger territory, Hammer territory for the Braves conversation, Baseball America hot sheet. Fair territory was on earlier. Great episode with Lana Rizzo and Katie Wu, who's a superstar covering the St. Louis Cardinals. So if you want to check out all that content and you're on YouTube right now, just type in any of those names I said, and you can get more on it. But Kratz, you're up first, and then I have a question for both of you.
No, the Indianapolis Indians they're not hosting a big league team, but I'll tell you what, it's a big league city. If there's a team if you need a big league team somewhere, Indianapolis.
Yeah, they have a hoops team. They support it well. Yeah, Intimidators. The Pacers fan base is really good. I went out for a game a few months back. It was a good time.
Big time city. Big time city, small town feel.
Also, for Tiger territory, just a reminder, that episode that just released features AJ Hinch. So if you'd like to hear from him, go for it. The Philly show, which is under the FT network, just had Jason Worth. So there's some good competitors that are part of the fam that are putting us to the test here with what our guest list looks like. All right, let's finish with 2 minutes to go with a question. John asks, which MLB fans create the best atmosphere? He said he's biased when he say it's Yankee fans, but what do you guys think? Best atmosphere, and you can go wherever you want to go.
Outside the box, I always loved the vibe that was in, because everyone talks about Philly fans, Yankee fans, Boston fans. I love the energy in Fenway, but when nobody was in the stands, Fenway still had the energy. So maybe it's not the fans. But I'm going to say outside the box, Colorado. Going to Colorado, I always felt like playing there was just an awesome energy. So maybe that's not good that they're creating a cool energy as a visiting player, but I loved it. Maybe it's because most of the people are baked too, but who knows?
I thought St. Louis had a good little vibe to them. I don't know what it was, but they were always into the games and always had that little that homey kind of feel.
They were very
nice.
Those
were two great ones. Yeah, those are two great ones in different ways, but both really good ones. I'm proud of you guys for not just doing an East or a West Coast. We went into the middle of the country, Midwest and whatever you call it. What are they, Mountain West? But yeah, Colorado's always fun. I do think, hey, to be fair, not everyone is fake. There's some people that are just drinking, having a good time. Oh,
I'm
Todd.
Scott
Wait,
today.
Todd, am I in Tom's River or am I in Florida? Is that me?
No, it's you.
Is that me?
Scott's dressing up.
If anyone knows where I can find myself a good tan, let me know. Oh wait, outside of this studio? Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Scott's dressing up as a white balance card for next Halloween.
Oh my God.
It's okay that it's not movie quality.